Welcome to the Writer's Journey podcast. I'm Michael Laran, a science fiction and fantasy author on a journey to go from nobody to bestseller, and I'm documenting every step of the way. Tune in every week as I pull back the curtain on my writing life and how I'm building a writing career while working a full-time job, raising a family, and attending law school classes in the evenings. You can find show notes for this week's episode, a free starter library of my fiction, and much more at michaellaran.com.
Hello and welcome to episode 76. You know what I think this week? I think that 76 is a great number. How many times have I said that on this podcast? I don't know. I just like to say that, one, because my daughter watches a lot of Sesame Street, and there's a skit with Big Bird, and he has a song that I really like, and he talks about his favorite number is 4, I don't know. I actually like that song a lot, and that's kind of weird, I guess, maybe. But I actually like the old Sesame Street. Anyway, I'm on a tangent. So I am feeling a little bit under the weather today. I felt great over the weekend, and I did some yard work. We had some hedges that I had to trim, and did some mowing, and all that good stuff that comes along with lawn care. I take a lot of pride in my lawn, and so I try to keep it good and looking good and healthy. And so I was a little sore on like Monday or Tuesday, and then all of a sudden, just waking up this morning, it's Wednesday as I record this, I just felt like I got hit with a truck. Like a truck hit me. I flew in the air, landed on my back, and then the truck reversed and ran over me again. And it just kept doing it and doing it and doing it until I just feel like every bone in my body is like just bruised. I feel terrible. And it's funny because I'm actually recording this now because I really have no idea how I'm going to feel in the morning. So while I have the energy and while I have the mental clarity, I wanted to make sure that I did not miss my streak of the writer's journey and that I didn't give you guys a subpar episode. So this week I wanted to talk about some things that are going on with me. So last week I talked about how crunch time is coming, how the busiest time of the year is coming for me, and it's a challenge, but I'm getting ready for it. And for the most part, I've got all the pieces in place to set myself up to have a pretty good fall without having to worry about any interruptions in service for Author Level Up, any interruptions in service for the writer's journey, writing tip of the day, and kind of all the things I have going on. And not feeling well today. It's like, man, I really hope I don't get sick. I really hope I don't get sick because I can't. It's going to be a problem. And so I've had to kind of flip the switch that I usually flip when I'm not feeling very well. And I have some things that I do to make sure that if I can do it, right, get some things done while also taking care of myself, because that's ultimately important. Because, if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to be sick for a lot longer, and it's going to lead to other problems. So I have to make sure that I don't overdo it. And one of the things that I do is I drink a lot of tea. So I drink a lot of tea. I drink probably 4 to 6 cups of tea every day. I think that's one of the reasons I am so healthy, because I do drink loose leaf tea, and I do drink a lot of herbal teas. I just like the way they taste, and so on and so forth. And another thing that I've been doing is batching a lot of my content. So all these weeks I've been talking about how I batch content, I make content in advance in case something like this happens, right? And so now something like this is happening. So I got to make sure that everything is good. And so taking some naps and making sure I take medicine and take care of myself and give myself plenty of time to rest and plenty of time to drink lots of fluids is super important. But, fatherhood doesn't stop. The writing life doesn't stop. Emails coming into my inbox doesn't stop. Unfortunately, if I want a paycheck, I still have to go to work. Last I checked anyway, and maybe that'll change in the future. But so it's definitely been a challenge, and I share that with you not because it's like a TMI or anything like that. It's just I know that many of you, even if you're not a writer, many of you have creative pursuits that you want to pursue. And a lot of people, and you'd be surprised at how many people email me about this, asking questions on it. A lot of people feel like they failed if they miss a day, right? I mean, they feel terrible if they miss a day of writing, or if they miss a day of blog posts, or if they miss a YouTube video. they just feel horrible. And then it becomes this weird spiral where you just can't seem to get out of it. And, I'm here to tell you that I place a very high emphasis on consistency. So you guys know that consistency is really important to me. I would not be here with 76 episodes of The Writer's Journey if I didn't value consistency. But at the same time, there's a line that maybe I haven't talked about, and maybe I probably should talk about it more, is that when your health is involved, you just got to take care of yourself. Don't worry so much about missing a day if that happens. Like if I missed a week of Author Level Up, I'm sure that there would be some subscribers that would, not be happy about it. But I think I've done enough content, and I've kind of put myself out there enough. You guys kind of know what's on my plate that, I don't know, it's not the end of the world, right? Like earlier this year, I disappeared for like 4 months, while I was moving and, getting my studio renovated and set up. And I came back and all was good, right? And the channel is doing better now than it ever was doing earlier in the year. And so, I don't know. Dean Wesley Smith says this all the time, that you're not a quitter unless you actually quit. You're going to get punched in the face, metaphorically speaking, when it comes to life. It's not a matter of how hard you get punched in the face. It's just a matter of getting back up, right? Getting back up, swinging that bat again, as long as you're healthy to do so. So I have to eat some of my words here, because last week I talked about a goal that I had, several goals that I had for my writing career. And so I said that I wanted to, if I remember correctly, make sure that I didn't miss any weeks of Author Level Up, make sure that I didn't miss any weeks of The Writer's Journey, make sure that I didn't miss any days of the writing tip of the day. And I wanted to maintain as much as possible my daily social media videos and my new daily blog posts. So newsflash for those of you, which is really not that much of a newsflash, which is why I'm talking about failure here. So I moved all of my YouTube community tab info. So it's posted on my YouTube community tab at authorlevelup, or youtube.com/authorlevelup. And you can go to the community tab, and I literally posted every single day for most of the summer, right up until about the time my daughter had her procedure. And that was great. I mean, you guys really posted and commented and engaged like nobody's business. And I love making those meaningful connections with all of the people that follow me. I think that that's so important, and I think that it's so underrated. And I kept my streak, and I wanted to make sure that I kept creating content, right? And so what I did was I said, it makes sense probably to pull all of that content onto my blog so that I can schedule posts a little bit more. I have a little bit more flexibility. People can share the content, which is something they can't do right now on the YouTube community tab. And, quite frankly, YouTube has a history of discontinuing things just because. There's no real reason or rhyme to it. And I didn't want to be in a situation 6 to 8 months from now where I was putting all this content on my YouTube community tab and then it disappeared. So I actually started a blog. It's authorlevelup.com/blog, and it is there, and you can read some of the posts. And I was encouraging people to subscribe to it via RSS, and very funny. So I knew that my law exams would be a lot. Or my law class would be pretty brutal. I'm taking employment discrimination this year, which is one of the main reasons I went to law school. So I knew that it was going to be tough, and I was prepared. I mean, I can take a lot of abuse. I've taken some pretty tough classes, and I've taken classes from some pretty tough professors. So I'm not, I'm not a wimp when it comes to hard work, when it comes to academics, not by a long shot. But this probably was a lot more than I thought. And I was expecting a lot, and I was making my schedule around that, and it's going to be more. I'm only taking one class, but it's going to be pretty intense. So upon seeing that, I kept thinking to myself, how am I going to do all of this stuff? It was starting to become a little overwhelming. So I wanted to take the lesson that I learned last fall, and I talked a little bit about this last week, that I overcommitted myself, right? I didn't realize that I was so committed until everything started breaking. And so I remembered that, and I said, okay, this is what the warning signs look like. I don't want to stretch myself too thin. It's good to be ambitious. It's good to set goals, but I'm going to have to scale back some things. So Author Level Up will be fine. I'm not scaling that back. Writer's Journey will be fine. I just turn on the microphone and talk. It's not that complicated. Writing Tip of the Day is recorded and locked and loaded through the end of January. So there are no content interruptions there. But there are going to be some changes. So some of the things that I said last week, I'm just going to have to jettison. And these were kind of experimental. They weren't, it wasn't anything that I had necessarily established and said, I'm going to do this forever now until the end of time. But I am temporarily going to have to back down on my social media videos and my blog posts daily. I'm just going to have to. It's a little embarrassing to say, hey, guys, follow me on my blog. And then, I got to say, hey, sorry, the blog's not going to be active until the first week in December. But sometimes that's what you got to do, right? And it's far better for me to do that now than to try to make it work, and then in October everything just falls apart. I don't want that. That's a bad experience for you guys. That's a bad experience for me. It's a bad experience for my family. I got to learn when to step back. And so someone who is as productive as I am, I have learned over the years, yeah, it's cool. It feels really good when you're winning, right? When you're productive and you got things firing on all cylinders. But I think in order to stay that way, you have to have some self-awareness, and you have to be able to step back and reflect and say, okay, maybe I crossed a line here, and you got to cut back on some things. So that doesn't mean that I won't have any blog posts through the end of the year. It doesn't mean that I won't have any daily social media videos through the end of the year, but it does mean that I'm not promising any kind of regularity. You might only see 1 or 2 videos from me, social media videos. Author Level Up will be fine, but you might only see 1 or 2 social media videos from me between September and December, and I hope everybody can understand that. But ultimately, it just boils down to consistency, right? I say all the time, consistency was my biggest failure. And here I am saying I'm not going to be consistent, right? And I have to kind of walk back on my advice a little bit. But number one, I got to take care of myself, got to take care of my family. And so, yeah, I'm going to make some changes, but all is good. All is really good. Like, it kind of sucks to have to walk this back a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's just Facebook. It's just Twitter. And quite frankly, I talked about how I was quitting Facebook and Twitter anyway. I was just going to be sending videos there. I probably wasn't going to be engaging with the content that much. So it's probably not the end of the world for me. And I've got a cool, really, really cool book teed up that I can't talk too much about yet. But it was actually pretty cool because this is a project that I'm going to be doing on behalf of someone. Can't say who. But I had to learn how to write a book proposal, which was kind of interesting, right? That's how nonfiction writers learn how to sell their books. They have to create these elaborate proposals that talk about what's in the book and why a literary agent or a publisher should take it on. Now, I'm not getting a book published by a literary agent or a traditional publisher. That's not happening, trust me. But it was kind of cool to be able to step inside some of your guys' shoes and really experience how you potentially have to deal with that. Now, if you're indie nonfiction, you don't have to listen to this, but I think empathy is a pretty important thing, and it's something that I'm always trying to understand from a writing perspective. So I'll be able to announce some more information on that probably in the coming weeks. But if it does go through, I think this will be a really, really cool project. And I think it's going to benefit a lot of the people who watch my YouTube channel. It's going to be one of the cooler things I've done. So anyway, that is all I have for you this week. Again, like I said, I'm feeling under the weather, so I think I'm going to go and take a nap. I'm just a big baby. I'm just going to go take a nap, right? But I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I hope that the final dog days of summer are treating you well. For those of you who are writers, I hope that you are writing a lot. Hope that the time of great forgetting hasn't gotten to you. And for those of you who are not writers, I just want to thank you for listening to this show. And I hope that you are able to get in a lot of good reading time as well. So with that, I will talk to you all next week, and peace.
Thanks for joining me this week. If you enjoyed this episode, you'll enjoy my backlist episodes at michaelaran.com/podcast. For your free starter library of my favorite novels, join my fan club by visiting michaelleron.com/fanclub. If you're a writer and want to connect with me further, check out my YouTube channel, Author Level Up, for helpful writing advice at authorlevelup.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back next week.